Okay.
Yeah.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, cinco, seis.
7, 8, 9, 10.
So hey guys, welcome. We are back again, and my name is Yugen.
Thank you, Yugen. It's nice to be back. My name is Ramon Lewis.
Yeah, so we're picking up from our previous two podcasts on values, and we started this off by talking about acknowledging your values and the importance of values and how they influence our lives. And I think in the second one, we went on to showing you how you can identify your values through this wonderful little game that I'm sure half of you did not even play yet. But taking a series of values that are pretty prominent and just kind of categorizing them by prioritizing and stuff like that, and figuring out which ones were important to you. And this allowed you to assess and prioritize your values. Blah blah blah. So now, what are we doing, Ramon?
Yeah, well, today we're going to be talking about. Oh, just before I go into that, I just wanted to say we did get some nice feedback, and I want to just shout out to Chelsea Flower for giving us a really nice little message about how that was really helpful for her to one, to work out what her values were, and then to prioritize them in accordance with the alignment, and also importance of how they what they represent in her life.
Awesome.
So,
Big
thanks,
up, Chelsea.
Y'all.
Yeah.
All right, so moving into today's podcast, we're going to be exploring how to navigate through having different perspectives in relationship with others, and making sure that our values aren't being compromised. Now, this is a biggie.
Oh, yeah.
It's a biggie because, we tend to think that the way we view the world is the way the world really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got this quote that I always say, but I didn't even know who did it. So thanks to Google.
Yeah, Google. Big ups to Google.
Big ups to Google. It's it's not what you look at, it's what you see. So the lens you look through ain't going to be the lens that everybody does, even though you'd like for it to be that way. Unfortunately, it's not always the case.
Yeah, why can't everybody just be like me?
I know, why not? It's so easy being me.
Oh, man. But then again, I wouldn't have met you, and I love you.
I love you too. So we're lucky.
Yeah.
We're lucky to be here, and we've worked through some things together in terms of we've understood and worked out that we have very similar values, but we have very many different perspectives on things.
That's so true.
Life. And how do you navigate through those different perspectives?
It is tricky.
It's tricky, but it takes practice. And our partners aren't always going to agree with us, and it's easy to think that they are the ones who are misinformed or have a distorted perception of reality. Why don't you understand?
I'm trying to get you to understand the world works more like how I see it.
Oh!
It's okay.
Absolutely not.
We'll figure this out.
How could we see things so differently? But, I just think failing to understand that each individual is entitled to his or her own point of view is failing them to...
No, go on. I'm sorry.
Get off your righteous high horse, all right, just for a second. And just agree for a moment with what I'm saying.
Okay.
Or you can agree to disagree, that's cool.
Okay, that's fair, yeah. But
so his or her own point of view, it's failing to appreciate what makes the other person who they really are.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
And we have to sort of accept that it's okay that someone might have a different perspective, and how best to understand that is perhaps to ask the questions.
That's true.
To communicate effectively, to try and move away from what is triggering us or even, sorry, look at what is triggering us and move beyond that to actually engage in an open conversation about how to come to some sort of mutual agreement. Because we're both unique individuals, we have unique backgrounds and life experiences, and that help form two very different perspectives. And I feel like they should be respected and valued.
That's true. And you know what? This brings us to a very interesting concept. While I'm sitting in my righteous couch, or righteous chair, actually, and it's on the concept of being an individual in a shared reality. So, as my beloved partner here said that, we perceive the world and our place in it in okay, no. So I'm saying that, like, okay, we perceive. Stop laughing. This is funny.
Do you feel so righteous now?
Yeah. I'm gonna edit that out.
Oh, okay, fine.
Maybe, I don't know. We'll just leave it. Okay, so we perceive the world and our place in it in a very particular way, but in relationships, we have to contend with the views of our partners and our friends. Just think of it this way. In your world, a glass may always be half full, but when you share that space with someone else, they look at that same glass and they say, it looks half empty. How do you contend with that?
Totally. And if you're living in my world, it's totally overflowing.
If you're living in my world, then physics says that half that glass is occupied by, could be nitrogen and, other gaseous elements, including microbes. And so, I mean, hashtag realist.
Physical.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get physical.
Physical. I want to get physical. Let's get to... Wait. Something like that, right?
Back to it.
I want to hear you talk. What? Wait. Was that an echo? Okay, anyways.
Oh, my lens, it's just gone from one thing to the other. Right, I'm just going to refocus back into what am I doing? What am I talking about? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. I think with understanding someone else's perspective, it comes with awareness and the ability to recognize and appreciate others' perspectives, even though it may be very challenging. But it takes practice. Lots of practice. Probably a bit of emotional maturity and perseverance. And then I think you'll be able to find new ways of understanding someone else's point of view. And by doing so, I feel like you will not only find that you can enrich your vision of reality, but you can create a new level of intimacy in your relationships.
Yeah, and I will say I've and one thing that I've learned in of having a relationship with you is that it was important that I traded my self-righteous couch for a humble chair. Because I really I cared about you from the get-go, and it was important for me to fully allow myself to be open to the experience, because I knew even after when we first met, like after we left each other, departed from the plane, I was thinking to myself, this is somebody I can have deep conversations with. And I wanted to make sure that I what's the term when you cultivate, I wanted to cultivate that. So it was important that throughout when we were talking, that I was as honest as possible with you. And even though it's like I'm sitting next to a total stranger, I wanted to have a more enriching and honest conversation with someone, because I wanted to build our friendship. Well, I didn't know it was going to be more than friendship, on a very honest base.
Yes.
So yeah.
And interesting too now, because that what I understand about you now is that honesty is one of your values. Connection is a shared value that we have. And my desire to make people...
What? Where does this echo?
I'm losing my train of thought all the time. Where we
Yeah.
at? Connection. Um, so, yes, my desire is to make people feel comfortable enough to explore themselves and the depths of themselves with someone else. I'd like to provide that space. And yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely so grateful that we've been able to have this exchange. And we had no idea that it was going to blossom into something quite beautiful and creative and enjoyable.
I remember that last night that we were together and we got physical. No, I mean we were dancing, like just dancing. um, but what?
But so let's get back into, you were talking about, having to get off your righteous chair into your
Yes.
humble couch. And I had to do the same.
I'd
Because
say
I
it was
remember...
righteous couch to humble chair.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And so I had to do the same thing. And I remember early on, you said to me, I feel like you're trying to teach me. And then I
Yes.
said something to you about, I feel like you're questioning me. And so there's our triggers
Yeah.
really shining their light in an uncomfortable way.
Yes.
It's and I had to work through that, and I had to tell you. Well, first of all, I didn't. It was a visceral feeling, and I didn't actually know how to say, that makes me feel uncomfortable. Because we don't want to talk about those things that make
That's
us feel
true. Yeah.
painful. But I mean, I've learnt a lot from this experience too, because I feel like when you put yourself into someone else's shoes and try to take on their perspective, then you can start to then bridge the divide between you and others as separate individuals with different views on the world.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's important to step outside of yourself in a moment. Like, do not cling to that immediate emotion, that defensive action that you normally would take. Just pause for a moment, step outside of yourself, and process what is happening, and actually listen. Like, listen as a neutral party, to what's happening. Because think about it, right? When you are in a situation, you can react emotionally, you can get defensive and so forth, and you can remove yourself from that situation, walking away feeling a lot of emotions, right? But think about it now. If a friend of yours showed up and they had the same situation happen to them, wouldn't you be able to give more reasonable advice? Don't you think that you actually give better advice to them than you would actually take for yourself in the moment? Why?
Absolutely.
Because you're looking at it as an outside observer, and you're processing what is happening, and you're giving feedback that is probably a bit more honest than you would give yourself in the moment, because you're overwhelmed by emotion.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And we do act from that place of wanting to defend, protect, our beliefs or who we are, and that can sometimes cause a bit of, well, most of the time, cause a lot of issues, because we're not stepping outside of ourselves, taking a moment and to detach emotionally. We're in fight, flight, or freeze mode, and all we want to do is just, instinctively protect ourselves.
Yep. I'm easily triggered by certain things. I mean, well, not as much anymore, but I'm aware of them. I think we've discussed them several times, and I mean, we've talked about it periodically.
Yeah. And I guess the thing is that we essentially just want to be understood. And so we do get our back up when we feel like we are misunderstood and people don't get it, and we want to make it right. But sometimes making it right, we sound righteous rather than passionate.
Yes.
Listen to me. Don't you understand? I wish you could. Yeah. I think if we want to learn more about ourselves, each other in life, challenge and discomfort is necessary. So looking at those triggers are necessary. And actually, I remember mentioning this to you the other day. I said, look at your triggers as gifts, as these little treasures that have come to you to see more of yourself,
Oh yeah,
to
you said
observe
say
yourself
thank
more.
you. Yeah,
Thank you.
I remember that. Yes, and I thought that was actually pretty clever. It makes sense because you need to face yourself.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So, how do we dissolve the triggers that come up to then cultivate healthy relationships?
Mm-hmm.
What do you reckon?
Um. So I think I mean, you just pointed out. We need to, once we feel actually, once you feel triggered, like you need to take a moment to process what's happening.
Mm.
Your instinct is to protect and defend yourself on the immediate, but take a moment, pause. Don't
Mm.
react. Like focus on what you're feeling, your physical reaction and your emotional reaction, and just process it in that moment. Don't think about how to respond. Think about what the person said to you or what's happening, and process the physical reaction as it's happening. Sometimes, like me, sometimes I feel stress in my neck, and I
Mm.
also feel like, I feel like my body's getting hot, and I feel discomfort. So if you focus on those physical reactions and do not attach them to the emotion that you're feeling, do not attach them to what's being said. Just wait till it
Yeah.
subsides, and then try to figure out, then bring up the trigger and let the person know what's triggering you, and then have a discussion about it, and why it's triggering you.
Yeah, beautiful.
Sadhguru once
Mm.
said that we cannot let, and I'm paraphrasing, we cannot let anybody hurt us unless we give them permission. Somebody
Wow.
can call you all types of things in the world, but you have to choose to allow that to affect you in a negative way.
Absolutely.
No one can do anything to you without permission, unless they assault you and beat the crap out of you. Though that's totally different, you know. But just so we're clear, you're not actually giving them permission to do that, so technically it's still valid. Yeah.
I understand, and I couldn't agree more. Yeah, because when protection comes up and triggers, and you feel triggered, then it's a very visceral experience. I mean, you were saying you feel it in your neck. I feel it in my heart. Like I feel like my heart is breaking,
Mm-hmm.
and my whole chest is hot and fiery. And so, yeah, just taking a moment, because we do have the power, or the power to respond in a
Mm-hmm.
way that's appropriate.
That's true.
And that's the control. Actually, that's probably the only thing we can control. That is our response.
Yes.
There's a
And
quote about that.
and some people fly off the handle, and others they say
Mm.
nothing.
Mm.
There's so many different ways we can react to it.
Yeah,
But the best way is to, take a moment and address it. You know.
great. Yeah, and let's have a look at it. Intimate relationships for a second.
Mm.
Um, I've always felt like I've wanted to work out who I am. I wanted to know how to heal myself, my triggers, be aware, sorry, of my triggers, and I guess have a relationship with myself before I was open to inviting anyone else in
Mm.
intimately. And I've always felt that if there's another person who's healthy, who knows themselves, and is open to knowing more about themselves, then they can come in to move alongside you,
Yeah.
but not to complete you. So, and the reason for that is because if you're single and you feel like there's a lack and you don't feel whole, then there's something missing.
Yeah.
And that's always been really important to me. I think that's a really good foundation for a healthy relationship, is to have a healthy relationship with yourself.
Amen. Agreed.
Yeah. Mm.
It's interesting because now that I'm thinking about it, I remember it was last year, or no, the year before last, and I think I may have told you the story. I mean, I kind of dated a little bit, but I had decided I had gotten ill in Italy. I think I told you that whole story. I got really sick in Italy, and I
Mm.
came back and saw a doctor and all this stuff. And I actually started. I said, you know what? I'm gonna take some time just to myself. I started exercising and getting better. Treating my body better and just feeling better about myself. And while I did like casually like see some people every now and then, I just wasn't really seriously ready for dating. And it
Mm.
wasn't until you know end of summer last year where was like actually it was around my birthday. I
Mm.
it just hit me one day and I said, you know what, I think I'm ready for this. And da 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 da, X, Y, and Z. I already told you the story. And guess what happened a few months later? I was sitting on a plane next to this beautiful lady,
Oh, hello.
and it's not a system of perfection where like you're 100% ready, but what I needed to have in myself was confidence in myself, was
Mm.
respect for myself, because I'm not afraid to admit, man. I told you before, Ramon, I was looking for fixer uppers. I was looking for people who I can save. I was attracted to people that I can save, but at the same time, it didn't address like the what was wrong with me, and I felt like incomplete. I wasn't. I don't think I was dating people that um I thought I was. And I hate to say this, like I didn't think I deserved somebody that was great. I was
Mm.
looking for things that were broken,
Mm.
and I finally just, I hit this point where I just was like looking at myself. I'm like, dude, I'm great. Like, I'm awesome. Like, and I deserve awesome.
Yeah, you
And,
do.
you know, I felt, I proceeded to start, looking at people differently. And I was looking at people who weren't broken, but people who I thought had similar values to me and were on my level in that regard, like career wise and so forth.
Mm.
And yeah, like it changed. Like the problems changed as well. They got like I mean, they weren't the same kind of issues that I had
There weren't
before.
problems anymore.
Yeah, they weren't. No,
There were
no, it's true.
possibilities.
It's true. Like, and I say problems, but it was like it's kind of like minuscule. It's like a smudge on your shoe instead of like entire room that's a whole mess. The problems are totally different. And it was like, holy crap! Like this is totally different. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And people often look for the things that they lack in a partner, but it doesn't allow them the space to find the traits in themselves or embody it. That
Ooh.
takes work. And work on
Totes.
yourself, which bring and it's work on yourself that brings us back to what Ramon said about being in a relationship with yourself. There's this little exercise I go through periodically where I look at myself in the mirror and I start talking to myself. And it's like I just start saying things.
Oh
Like
yeah.
sometimes it's random things or sometimes it's little thoughts that I have in the moment. And in that moment, you can feel your doubts. You're looking yourself in the eye, you feel these doubts, and you acknowledge, and I acknowledge when I'm misleading myself. Sometimes I'll say like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to change that, but I know I could feel that I'm being deceptive to myself. You
Mm.
cannot lie to yourself. You can lie to other people like Donald Trump, but lying to yourself at night, that's a hard thing to do. If you figured it out, then you are a terrible person. If you figure out how to lie to yourself all the time, then you're a terrible person. But it's
Mm.
important to have honest conversations with yourself because you know what's right in your heart, for
Yeah,
you, and
definitely.
you need to be willing to face that, and do not let that be someone else's problem because everyone has their own battles. They shouldn't be
Yeah.
fighting yours for you.
Well said. Amen to that. Yeah, I think it's really, I think that's a great exercise to do,
Mm.
just so that you become more aware of yourself and your triggers. Just really seeing yourself, seeing your thoughts, your emotions, or feeling the emotions that come up,
Yeah.
and just seeing yourself reflect back at you with mindful awareness. You can start to see yourself with more clarity.
Amen.
Um, and then, I mean, it all really for me is just about awareness and consciousness. So the higher your consciousness and awareness is, the more you can see yourself and then see others from a higher place instead of diving down into this kind of place where you're trying to fight tit for tat all the time, you know?
Yeah.
Protect, defend, because it just doesn't end well.
No, it does not.
So, good to talk about them. Good to honestly say how you feel, you know, express your needs.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back to awareness, being observant of what's going on in your body and what's going on in your mind. And as I said before, obviously there's a need to protect, to defend. But I feel that with conscious and mindful understanding of the triggers and stopping and feeling into it and expressing, moment by moment, got to be patient. And you've also got to lead with compassion. That's important. Then I think this will really help dissolve what is causing discomfort and help you move through it. Yeah. Because you can't move around it. You've got to move through it.
Amen, my love.
Don't feel good all the time. But there's always treasures on the other side, right?
Exactly. And just to reiterate what I said earlier, sometimes in the moment when you're feeling overwhelmed, take a pause, process the emotion and the physical stimuli, and then come back to discuss your triggers with your partner.
So I think, because we could go on forever, Mr. Yugen Cosmic, but I think it'd be a nice topic for next podcast, to just round it up, I think. So maybe we can explore next week about, what do healthy relationships actually look like, and how to feel centered in relationships when different perspectives are being presented. Does that sound good to you?
And we'll give you some pointers on how to spice up your long distance romance.
And if you get the memo, can you pass it to me before we share it with everyone else?
Hey, I thought we were being open with everybody.
No, we are. No, it's all good. Yeah.
All right,
spread
guys.
that memo out for all to see.
Guys, thank you for joining us for this podcast. This is another long one. We appreciate you sticking through with it. Looking forward to talking with you guys again next week.
Me too. Thank you, guys. My name is Ramon from Melbourne City, and we'll see you
I'm
really soon.
Yugen from New York City.
Yeah.
Peace.
Whoop.